preachers, some with dubious doctorate titles, a rabbi without a congregation, a painter of Jewish themes, a few translators, all immigrants from Poland or Russia. I seldom know their names. One of them disappears, and I think he is already in the next world. Suddenly he reappears, and he tells me that he has tried to settle in Tel Aviv or Los Angeles. Again he eats his rice pudding, sweetens his coffee with saccharin. He has a few more wrinkles, but he tells the same stories and makes the same gestures. It may happen that he takes a paper from his pocket and reads me a poem he has written. It was in the 50s that a woman appeared in the group who looked younger than the rest of us. She must have been in her early 30s. She was short, slim, with a girlish face, brown hair that she wore in a bun, a short nose, and dimples in her cheeks. Her eyes were hazel, actually of an indefinite color. She dressed in a modest European way. She spoke Polish, Russian, and an idiomatic Yiddish. She always carried Yiddish newspapers and magazines. She had been in a prison camp in Russia and had spent some time in the camps in Germany before she obtained a visa for the United States. The men all hovered around her. They didn't let her pay the check. They gallantly brought her coffee and cheesecake. They listened to her talk and jokes. She had returned from the devastation still gay. She was introduced to me. Her name was Esther. I didn't know if she was unmarried, a widow, a divorcee. She told me she was working in a factory where she sorted buttons. This fresh young woman did not fit into the group of elderly has-beens. It was also hard to understand why she couldn't find a better job than sorting buttons in New Jersey. But I didn't ask too many questions. She told me that she had read my writing while still in Poland and later in the camps in Germany after the war. She said to me, "You are my writer." The moment she uttered those words, I imagined I was in love with her. We were sitting alone. The other man at our table had gone to make a telephone call, and I said, "For such words I must kiss you." "Well, what are you waiting for?" She gave me both a kiss and a bite. I said, "You are a ball of fire." "Yes, fire from Gehenna." A few days later, she invited me to her home. She lived on the street between Broadway and Riverside Drive with her father, who had no legs and sat in a wheelchair. His legs had been frozen in Siberia. He had tried to run away from one of Stalin's slave camps in the winter of 1944. He looked like a strong man, had a head of thick white hair, a ruddy face, and eyes full of energy. He spoke in a swaggering fashion, with boyish boastfulness and a cheerful laugh. In an hour, he told me his story. He was born in White Russia, but he had lived long years in Warsaw, Lodz, and Vilna. In the beginning of the 30s, he became a communist and soon afterward a functionary in the party. In 1939, he escaped to Russia with his daughter. His wife and the other children remained in Nazi-occupied Warsaw. In Russia, somebody denounced him as a Trotskyite, and he was sent to mine gold in the north. The GPU sent people there to die. Even the strongest could not survive the cold and hunger for more than a year. They were exiled without a sentence. They died together, Zionists, Bundists, members of the Polish Socialist Party, Ukrainian nationalists, and just refugees, all caught because of the labor shortage. They often died of scurvy or beriberi. Boris Merkin, Esther's father,